Number 10. Flight 191. In May of 1979, a man named David Booth had vivid nightmares of what he explained as a jetliner veering off the runway and in the process flipping over, only then to catch on fire. Feeling obligated, he informed the Federal Aviation Administration, also known as the FAA, about the danger he sensed. The officials surprisingly listened to him and determined that the plane in his dreams was most likely a DC-10. On the exact day David had his final nightmare, American Airlines DC-10 Flight 191 crashed almost immediately after takeoff. Everything happened exactly as he had earlier explained it, down to the smallest detail. Number 9. RMS Titanic. For many, it seems that the RMS Titanic was cursed ever since its completion. A small fleet was responsible for towing the ship out to sea because of its massive size, which crippled the Titanic while in shallow water. In the process, the two almost collided less than an hour into its maiden voyage. There are 2 accounts of passengers having anxiety before boarding. They both strongly believed that something unthinkable would happen during the expedition. An upper-class commuter wrote his last will and testament before getting on the ship, correctly fearing that he would not make it back to Europe alive. 4 different books were also published prior to the incident, which foretold very striking resemblances with the actual event. Number 8. Streaming videos. In 1987, Roger Ebert, a well-known film critic, predicted video-on-demand services like Netflix and Hulu. He stated in a 1987 interview with Omni magazine, in response to the question, "How will the fierce competition between television and the movies work out in the future?" Roger replied, "We will have high-definition, widescreen television sets and a push-button dialing system to order the movie you want at the time you want it. You'll not go to video stores, but instead order a movie on demand and then pay for it. Video cassette tapes as we know them now will be obsolete both for showing pre-recorded movies and for recording movies. People will record films on 8mm and will play them back using Laserdisc CD technology." Although he was wrong about films being recorded on 8mm, the rest of his prediction was pretty spot on, considering it was nearly a decade before the DVD would be introduced. Number 7. John Elfrith Watkins. In December of 1900, John Watkins wrote an article that was published in the Ladies' Home Journal, where he made a number of future predictions of what life would be like in the year 2000. Among them, one prediction was, "Strawberries as large as apples will be eaten by our great-great-grandchildren for their Christmas dinners 100 years hence." As we see GMO foods take over the market, we've all noticed a drastic increase in size of various fruits and vegetables. Number 6. Tana Hoy. American psychic Tana Hoy claims to not only hear guides and spirits, but to see them physically as well. Hoy was doing a live radio program in 1995 in Fayetteville, North Carolina, when he predicted a deadly terrorist attack on a building in Oklahoma City. Just 90 minutes later, tragedy struck at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building when Timothy McVeigh and his accomplices orchestrated one of the worst terrorist attacks on U.S. soil. Hoy had also reported his prediction to the FBI 4 months before the attack, but his visions were not taken seriously. Number 5. Mark Twain. Mark Twain wasn't known for being a fortune teller, but he made 2 startling predictions that turned out true. First, he was born the same year Halley's Comet was visible to the people on Earth, in 1835, actually just 2 weeks after the comet's perihelion. In his autobiography, published in 1909, he said, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it. It will be the greatest disappointment of my life if I don't go out with Halley's Comet. The Almighty has said, no doubt, now here are these 2 unaccountable freaks. They came in together, they must go out together." Twain died on the 21st of April, 1910, the day following the comet's subsequent perihelion. Twain also predicted his brother's unexpected death just weeks prior to his perishing, also with surprising accuracy. Number 4. Barrett Naylor. Much like the Titanic, the events that took place on September 11, 2001 seemed to rock the world. As a direct result of that, numerous theories sprang forth about the tragedy. Wall Street executive Barrett Naylor claims to have had 2 foreboding hunches that may have likely saved his life. The first of these happened in 1993 while riding a subway train to work. He had an uneasy feeling telling him to return home. Doing so, he missed a bombing that took place that day at the World Trade Center. The same thing happened on 9/11. He followed the exact same routine only to later turn on the television and see his place of work engulfed in flames. Number 3. Logan Dreyer. Young Logan Dreyer attended Sandy Hook Elementary until 2 weeks before a tragic shooting that allegedly took the life of 20 young children and 7 adults, which included the believed shooter. His mother became worried when she heard the news that her 5-year-old son was having panic attacks while at school. In his own words, Logan said, No, it's not a safe place. I'm scared." Recalling the events, family members of his believe he was saved by inherited psychic abilities given to him by his grandmother. After these panic attacks, his mother, Karen, refused to let him go to school, in the end likely saving his very life. Number 2. Nostradamus. Nostradamus made many predictions in his life, many of which did not come true, but many of which were very accurate. He has been loosely credited for predicting Napoleon, Hitler, and the 9/11 attacks. He wrote that the greater part of the battlefield will be against Hister, and the sky will burn at 45 degrees. Fire approaches the great new city. Experts agree that Nostradamus is talking about Hitler and New York City, which lies roughly 45 degrees north latitude. Number 1. Sharon Tate. In 1966, actress Sharon Tate became very unnerved at her boyfriend's house in Benedict Canyon, Los Angeles, California. There was a terrible sense of horror and despair that filled the room. Right before she fell asleep, Sharon saw a man whom she recognized as the house's former owner. The only problem was that he had committed suicide years before. After panicking and fleeing from the room, she saw an image of a person tied to a railing with their throat cut. In the years that followed, Tate would tell many that she believed the figure was herself. Her efforts to survive were to no avail, and on August 9, 1969, her life was cut short at the hands of a knife-wielding cultist just 3 years after her prediction. Like these top 10 videos? Subscribe by clicking the annotation here and give our video a like. Have an idea for a future top 10? Leave a comment in the section below and we'll do a video about it.